All right, we're live. Welcome everyone to TableTalk, where we talk all things tabletop. I'm your host, the Bedlight Gamer, with my co-host Glueboy.
Hello.
And today we have an interesting topic, and I think it's a lot deeper than it seems on the surface. What's the point of a TTRPG? Because honestly, beyond having fun, which is but I can have fun in many ways. Why would I spend time on a TTRPG? I think there's a lot of answers to this, and I think it's very interesting to go into. But before we do, we'll let some people hop into the chat, and we'll have our usual small talk. So, Alex, what's been up with you?
Not much. I put out a video today. Finally, I got something done. Purely because I want to have a tiny amount of time where I can just no life Path of Exile 2 without worrying about videos. So I rushed it, got it out. I'm happy with it. It's on the Kavadi from Mage the Ascension, which have a really interesting story if you go check that out. But other than that, I have really just been chasing the high of what'll be tomorrow, because I get in this headspace. It sucks and I hate it, where it's like all I want to do is play one thing. Right now, it's Path of Exile 2, but I don't want to just play a character when it's literally going to get updated tomorrow. So I'm just waiting for tomorrow, and so I'm just chasing the high with other things. I got back into playing Eugenics.
Oh, yeah?
Because I actually had a balance update recently.
Oh.
Which, God, it fucking needed it. Like, I think you can really tell with just the length of some classes, because Hunter got some updates, some buffs, but other than that, it got some nerfs, because Hunter is kind of the strongest class in that game.
Yeah, it's really good. I agree.
And Mage got a lot of buffs, because Mage was one of the most underperforming classes, because it really was sink or swim for Mage.
Yeah, I also agree.
And so did Tinkerer, which I'm also happy, because I love the idea of Tinkerer, and I've had some super fun busted Tinkerer characters, and then I've had some others where they just kind of did nothing. So a lot of the updates are they just made things cheaper, so a lot of the abilities are just more useful. And then they also took away some of the annoying RNG stuff. The one that made me happy was there's the Satan statue event, and if you sacrifice a cat to it, there was a chance that all your cats get a stat down. And they've just removed that. They removed the bad outcome of sacrificing a cat. Because to be honest, if you're killing one of your party members, you should get something.
That's fair.
And though that is apparently the meta is to have 3 cats on your run instead of 4. Because that means the 3 are just going to power level faster.
I can see that for sure. Especially because most bosses are several on one.
Yeah, you can there's a lot of times where the strat is, if you notice that 1 or 2 cats are the thing that's really juice in the run, you just kind of neglect the other 2. Or if you get that moment, you sacrifice them. Because I had one where I literally could have soloed it with a fighter, because I had a really funny combo run. I fully restarted my Eugenics thing, because really? I restarted it because I was annoyed at how unoptimal and bad I was at the breeding at the beginning of the game.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm doing so much better. I had a fighter that he had a buff that weapons deal triple damage, but they break in one hit. Then he got the ability to, for 5 mana, he spawns a stick in his hand, and then he got, which that means a stick deals 15 damage per hit. And he had 9 intelligence, so he just was able to cast it twice a turn. And then I got another passive upgrade that gave it so if he kills an enemy, he gets a bone weapon in his hand, which triple damage deals 24 damage. So he could move around the map, swat somebody, get a 24 damage weapon, and then move to another guy, swat him, and insta-kill, get another bone. So he cleared most bosses in 2 turns. Because he also had some good crit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I love this game. I love Eugenics. I love it so much. I think it is my top 10 games of 2026. Because it's just, I love Binding of Isaac. That is like one of my favorite roguelikes and like one of my favorite games of all time. And then it's just I get to play Binding of Isaac in a format I like a lot, and in a game I think is designed better than Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, that's fair. I would play it more if I wasn't a dad and I had such limited time during the weeks to do things.
Yeah, no, I get you. Like, one of the bits that carries Mugenics for me too is I have a Steam Deck, which I love. I love the Steam Deck. It's such a nice little device. It runs so well on Steam Deck because I know day one, Edmund McMillan made his own like controller, like format, because you as a developer can pick how the Steam controller will like actually control.
Right.
And he made such a good control scheme literally day one, because that's an issue for some PC games is how are you gonna port it to like a Steam Deck, and then he put a lot of thought into it and made a really good one. Also, shout out to Mugenics for being a game that's designed to be played with one hand. I don't have the same baby issue. I have a cat issue where she wants to be carried like a baby. And this is a game where I can actually do that because, like, left hand is for cat, right hand is for mouse. And then I can just play the whole game with the mouse.
Yeah, as far as me on my end of things, we're almost there. We're right at that time. My mom has come back from Norway, and now most of next month is going to be her. Well, she's gonna be here a lot because my sister is in town, and my sister just kind of wants to relax for a bit. So, probably get like a couple videos out this next month, which I'm super hyped for. And then once my mom like gets a lot in order and starts moving, you know, up here and being up here full time, I'll be able to like start making videos again. It'll be like one video a week, unfortunately, and maybe some shorts on top of that, just because they're pretty easy to do. But it'll be something, and it'll be nice. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Hell yeah, that sounds great. Because shorts are so easy because the editing for them is like nothing.
Yeah,
it depends, like I know, yeah. I don't know how recording it on shorts is, but like through YouTube, because I've only done short recording through like TikTok. TikTok at least makes it super easy. The most I do is I rewatch things to make sure I've trimmed it properly, because and then I just cut off like a half second at the beginning and end, because when you hit the start button on TikTok, for some reason, it gives you a gap right before.
Mm-hmm. So
even if you try to time it super well, it still is weird. And I don't like there being like dead frames in my shit. I like it to cut, like, and go right to the next bit. Oh, also, I found the weapon I was talking about right before we started. It's the Ordained Grand Spear. They showed it off in the live stream. Hello chat, PoE2, this is what we're talking about. The weapon looks fucking nuts, because it does like, the implicit stat, like, or one of the fixed modifiers it gives is 224 increased physical damage.
Mm-hmm.
1 to 261 lightning damage, higher crit chance, like it looks like it's almost 7%. Life leech recovers based on lightning damage as well as physical damage. It gives you the skill, because it's a spear, it has spear throw, but the other bit it has is righteous descent, where like you do a giant crash down attack, and then it has a thing of it creates a fragment of divinity in your presence every 4 seconds. I don't know what that means, but I would love to make a lightning spear user with that. I want to get this unique and make a character around it.
Yeah, I'm excited for Gemling, Gemling Mercenary, because
it looks so fun.
I'm so curious. I just want to know what all the gems do when they're qualityed up. So
yeah, same. Like, there's so many skills I love in the game that I'm so curious how Gemling messes with it, because I think Gemling would be such a fun route to play, like, not a crossbow character. Like, he has some interesting things he could do if, like, the skills are really fun. So I feel like making a Gemling character is, the first part is like, all right, let's spend an hour going through all the skills, see what we got. But like, Man, the other bit that holds me to going back to the clutches of mercenary, my favorite class,
Right.
is that new grenade unique.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, that looks so fun. I say that having done a grenade witch hunter build twice because it's really fun. Grenades feel so good in that game.
Yeah, and what a good year for games so far already. It's been stellar.
It's awesome. Like if I had more money, that's honestly the thing holding me back. I'm so sad I'm not able to just like immediately grab the 007 game. So it looks really fun. It's exactly what I was hoping it would be, which is just all right. Take like the fun aspects of Hitman Stealth, and let's just make it a bit more like focused and less like open sandbox. So like, it's fun. The combat looks really sick. Apparently, the story's really good. Like, it feels like a James Bond story, which is what you want. Like, you're gonna play a James Bond game, you're gonna want it to actually feel like the movies. It's like the good mode of when you see a game, it's like, it's just like watching an interactive movie. Sometimes that means you're just sitting in a cutscene simulator, which is criticism I can't levy because I am a absolute unrepentant Hideo Kojima fan.
Yeah. Oh, and man, there's so much coming up soon too. Summer Games Fest is going to be huge.
Yeah. I see, like, for the first time, like, I'm normally pretty on top of like what games are dropping. Like, I genuinely, outside of like some indie titles I've been waiting for, I don't have anything that I've already like got capped on my radar.
I've been eating good. I played a big Monster Collector year, which is crazy, because I played Monster Hunter Stories 3. I beat Monster Hunter Stories 3, which is saying something because I don't beat games often. Just either I peter out or I just don't have the time. Being a dad, just eats up so much game time that I can only maintain some level of interest in a game for so long before I tend to peter out on it.
I feel that.
And it's harder because I get, every other day I get a few hours to game, if nothing else comes up that gets in the way. And then on other days, like, it's between 30 minutes and 2 hours on how long Belle takes a nap for. So it's like, it's hard for me to play games like Mugenics, for instance, because a whole run is like 45 minutes. And if she wakes up, it's hard. But if I get one run done, I'm like, oh, do I do another run? Do I risk another run here? And it just becomes really hard. And other games, just like, they're a story game, and it's really hard to get immersed into a story and then have to stop for a day after only playing for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I've seen it a lot online of just the parents who, like, I haven't played video games for a while, or I've been out of the game for a few years until the kid grew up enough that they can play games too.
Yeah.
And that's at least going to be the benefit. It's just, I mean, we already know, like, your kids are going to be nerds and gamers because it's going to be the I am purely picturing it's the like, High School Musical ass, like, what, you want to sing and dance? No, you got to play basketball. It's the kid rebelling by not liking tabletop games.
Right.
We've already made the bit of Belle rebelling in her teenage years by liking D&D 5th edition.
Yeah.
No kid of mine will like D&D, but Dad, I like how open it is. I get to do so much homebrew.
Yeah. Which is more ironic now, considering playing Legend in the Mist, and we're literally just playing a homebrewed version of Legend in the Mist, kind of.
But the difference is, like, the game's kind of designed to do that. 5th edition is not.
But this is a good segue, right? This is a good segue into the topic today. So what's the point of TTRPGs? Getting a little started earlier than normal, but I just think the topic is very interesting. So obviously, people are going to say it's to have fun. And it's like, duh, right? If you're playing any kind of game, hopefully you're there to have fun,
Yeah, because that's my take.
Arguably,
I'm
unless
very
it's like a
down.
competitive game, because there's a lot of people I watch who play competitive games. They do not look like they're having fun most of the time they're playing.
It is it is a mind virus. From I've been friends with people who do pure competitive games. Uh, I've heard a lot of the. I mean, there's a podcast I really like and I listen to a lot. And all the people on the podcast are gamers. Like, there's a couple of them who like don't even play single player games. They only play like competitive stuff, and it's purely because like the fun they get, even if like emotionally speaking they're in shambles because they're on a horrible lose streak or, uh, you know, my teammates are all terrorists and like they're evil people because they're playing bad. Uh, it's like hard to get that feeling if you're not competing, doing something because like if you're good at a single player game, like what's the point? You're not like achieving a rank, you're not doing all this, and it's like a weird disconnect. But thankfully the people of the podcast I'm talking about are like open to trying different experiences and are, but they're just like, this is my preference. I think is a healthier attitude. um but it is like a mind virus that takes you over, and I can't get behind it at all. I can never do the League of Legends thing because I've played League and I'm like, this just kind of sucks to play. I hate the community. Everyone seems miserable playing this. Like, why would I play it? But I mean, that is my take for tabletop games. I think like the central point is always to have fun, and then the other bit I think is also big is I I think one of the other points of tabletop games is to experience like a story in a game with a level of freedom you can't have in other mediums. It's probably the most like player expression type game you could do because the game is inherently imaginary.
Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of like one of the points, right? It's a unique style of game because there are pretty much no other games out there that give the same level of agency, except for games where you add that level of agency, you know. I've definitely seen people play certain kinds of war games, like Warhammer, or like Warhammer, for instance, where they kind of add layers of like narrative and choice making on top of the experience.
Yeah, like Crusade mode for Warhammer is I think a genuinely super fun way to play it, and I think that it it could be done better because I think you could make a much stronger game designed around the idea of doing that.
Yeah.
Because Crusade mode's super fun, and then also here's a shout out to this. Actually, two games that do this too. Trench Crusade is built around the idea of playing it like Crusade. It is built around like telling that story of your warband, and the Lord of the Rings war game, also done by Games Workshop, is very narrative fluff. Like,
Yeah.
it is a game that like in its rules, like you cannot have a battle that is good guys versus good guys. Like that is as written. They want to stick very true to what Lord of the Rings is. So having like Gondor versus like Rivendell is bad. Like you can't do that.
Right.
Which is, so to play that game in any way, it actually also forces you to have two armies because you got to have a light side and a dark side army.
Yeah.
And then I think also the Star Wars one, the Star Wars game that lets you go from like, because they have rules to play it from the ground battles to like all the way up to like capital ship cruiser battles. Like war games do so well when they just engage with the idea that this is a tabletop game instead of like purely this is a simulational war game.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think like that's the basic, right? Like you play TTRPGs because you want to have fun, and it's a unique game experience where narrative is very much like a part of the experience to some degree. There's that level of agency where you can do things outside of that. And I think you could leave it at that, and that would be a generalized version of it. But then we start talking about different TTRPGs. And I think the reason why people play these games can differ pretty wildly. Like, the experience is very, very different. And what I mean by that is, let's take Pathfinder, for instance. Pathfinder is very much a tactical TTRPG experience. That's like the whole point of the game. Yes, you can do narrative stuff, and yes, skill checks and everything mostly account. And they do have some subsystems for, you know, like if your character wants to do a job and all that kind of stuff, which is a very loose like system, kind of stapled on top of what is mostly a combat tactical game. But you can do it, and you can do it and tell a story, and some of the classes are very interesting. I remember talking about Magus in it's so weird. One of the videos I watch my own, I don't watch my own videos that often, but one of the ones I do watch is my tier list video, funny enough. I find it interesting to listen to my own thoughts and opinions and be like, do I feel this way still? And I'll be like, yeah, I still feel that way. But I was talking about Magus and the Spirit Sheath feat, where you get to essentially take your weapon, put it in an extra dimensional space, and that's it. That's what the feat does. And I'm like, that feat is only there because it's cool. Like,
yes.
In most scenarios, it's not an issue. In most city areas, most GMs don't care if the players are carrying their weapons around. Like, even the adventure paths don't like take player weapons away, like, ever, that I've seen.
Yeah, like literally the only time that is a useful thing is in like very story driven moments where, all right, adventurers, turn in your weapons, that kind of shit.
Right.
Like that's the only time it is useful, outside of like, it's just raw as hell to summon your weapon out of nowhere.
It is. And so, like, Pathfinder, you can have, there is narrative bits. There are feats and abilities that are just interesting for the sake of being interesting. My Archivist build, which is one of my favorite builds so far, is not a build that I would say is very efficient or even necessarily that good. But it's fun. It's fun playing a Thaumaturge with 2 implements and using one of those implements, the tome, as a shield. Like, that's really cool, you know?
Yeah.
And it's something that makes it fun because those feats and abilities kind of exist outside of the normal tactical play. And when I played Pathfinder before, I yearned for more of that, you know, more of the stuff that's good and interesting outside of combat, because the combat is good, right? Like, the combat is so good, I just wanted more. You know, greedy little player GM I am. I just wanted more. And then you go to other games, like Anima Beyond Fantasy is not a tactical game, I would say. It's very much a, gosh, how do I even like succinctly wrap up the experience? Like, I guess it's just like a classic gridless crunchy TTRPG. Like,
I think it is it's basically the experience I would say Anima is. And it's, I think, because this is the vibe I get from its design, is Anima is a game, if you've ever felt like, man oh man, I like this anime, I really wish I could play it. And like, that's kind of how Anima feels. As a game that is like, alright, sure, do you want to have rules for fucking hockey? Good news, we already pre-built some of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think how I'd say is Anima is a really great combat theater of the mind game, or theater of the mind combat game.
I would agree with that.
That's how I would put it together, because pretty much everything, not everything, but a lot of it is dedicated to combat, like most TTRPGs are, or at least, you know, the fun, fighty fantasy ones that people tend to gravitate towards. But rather than being tactical like Pathfinder, Anima is more just like theater of the mind, and so it's about creating interesting characters who can do things, and like interesting things like hit someone and knock them back a mile away, or summon really cool creatures, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. And the whole point isn't for the game to have a lot of like tactical fidelity. It's just kind of about everyone kind of getting through the game enough to the point where it feels fun to play and not too much of a hassle to run, because the game doesn't offer a lot of options to like keep track of everything in a reasonable fashion. Like early level anima, you can have grid-based combat if you really want to. Characters can move distances. If it was, on an actual tabletop, it would be a, measuring tape game where characters move based on moving the measuring tape in certain directions.
Yeah.
But then you'll get to a certain point where you will not have a table big enough to run the game.
No, it operates at a scale, like, I think it's probably the best way to put it is that idea of it being a very crunchy theater of the mind game, because like that is just the best way to do it. Even though if you're running it raw, I think that the combat is something that has a lot of annoying elements of you have to track.
Yeah.
For like what it's trying to do, because it's initiative system purely having you like lock in your ability at the beginning of the turn is, I think, adds a layer of complication the game really shouldn't have.
Yeah. Well, like, I understand why they did it that way. They wanted the feeling that combat was simultaneous. Everyone's moving at the same time, so we roll to dictate whose action goes through first. So while the enemy's aiming their gun at you, you're running up to try to slash them, and then whoever got the higher initiative did their thing first, more or less. But in a group with any more than just one player and the GM, it becomes a hassle and becomes just impossible to run in that way. That's why most games have initiative orders and work, very board game-esque.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements of tracking that I don't think suit the game as well as it's trying to be, because the game is at its best when you're able to kind of zoom out and not track everything.
Yeah.
And just have a lot of assumptions of like, you can move to this character. Like, you're not doing a lot of the nitty-gritty stuff. It is very much suited to be some anime action shit where, like, I think honestly it fits the vibe of the game better if it has the feeling of like the anime characters standing at each other monologuing, and then someone does an attack and the other person kind of just lets them. I think it fits the vibe harder.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of what you played the game for, right? Is that experience. Yeah. Same thing with Mutants Masterminds, right? That game also can't really be played with a grid, even though there are rules for it. Heroes can very easily just break the grid, so there's no point. So
yeah, not really.
It's a very different experience, though your goals are mostly the same. It's a combat game, and there are some layers of strategy, even in a theater of the mind type game, but they operate on very different levels. But then there are like other games where combat isn't a high focus or is even discouraged. Like many of the story path games, for instance, aren't really combat games. They're narrative first stories that have combat elements, but usually those combat elements are not a good part of their combat, their systems. Like, Vampire does not have great combat typically.
No. It is combat that like you're expressly role playing the combat being a thing.
Yeah.
It's like you can get some sick role play out of it, but honestly, if you're trying to play the game tactically, then everybody, which everyone already does, you would pick all the disciplines to make sure you have clarity or celerity, because in every game except 5th edition, celerity lets you take an extra turn, which is busted in any combat situation.
Yeah, so the games are much more based on other things. Vampire, for instance, is very political. It's a political game where you're politically jousting with other vampire clans and groups, and maybe you're playing a particular cadre who's doing something, like our peacekeepers or something like that. You're furthering the goals of your sire. It's a very fun game, and it's most fun when you're not trying to make it a combat game.
Yeah.
And I like it. I'm a big vampire person myself. And I'm someone who is very inclined towards like political intrigue and all that kind of stuff. And that's a very different experience. You're going to the table and you're opting into a TTRPG whose the whole thing is mostly just telling an interesting story using the game's mechanics. And it's really fun because the different abilities your vampires can have, or their different connections or feats or whatever, can make you feel like you're doing something. It's not just like story time, everyone's get in a circle and, you know, take turns telling the story. You have agency, and there's a system that you have to work with / against to make, you know, things happen in the story, which is fun. And it's a very different experience, to the point where you can definitely be in the mood to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition and not be in the mood to play Vampire, or vice versa, because they're so different of experiences.
Yeah, like, you are opting in for a very specific thing. And that is a very important aspect, I think, for tabletop games, is it should be you are opting into a very specific experience when you are deciding to play a tabletop game. Because I don't like the idea that, like, you can play a game and it's like, hey, check it out, it's the pure Omni system, you can do literally everything.
Yeah,
it's like because, like, I love the Star Wars tabletop game. Like, it has its open version of Genesis, which is very much designed to do, you can play anything.
Yeah,
it's just you're gonna have to be running through, like, supplement material and stuff like that. But the difference is, like, will you play Genesis to play this cool sci-fi system, or will you play a game designed around a very specific sci-fi system and world, and, like, a certain sci-fi experience? And it depends which version of that you want. Because I love the dice system of Genesis. I think it's really good. I love, like, specifically that style is one of my favorites. And my favorite version of the pass with benefits, pass with disadvantage, like, I think it is the best expression of that system.
Yeah.
But, like, you're opting in for that.
Yeah, and it's a game system that Genesis is very interesting because it has its resolution system purely dictated by dice, right? It's not necessarily based on... I mean, there is some narrative context to it because the dice refer to narrative context. But how it comes about and everything is, like, really focused on what your result of your dice check is. And there's so many different possible combinations of results that, you know, every dice check is going to be different, and it's really fun to build into it, like getting your boost dice, getting your proficiency dice, all that other kind of stuff, your triumph dice. It
is really fun if you have people that are down for the like to throw out options of, like, what their thing is. And also, it's a version of the narrative introductions and, like, narrative consequence dice that I have, at least in my experience, seen made more fun because it is gamified.
Yeah.
Like, it is that aspect of it's why I always point to the fact the Star Wars system for it has, like, they're in the GM, I think it's in the GM kit. There's just tables of, like, if you have this combination, here's the levels, like, here's a bunch of examples, so you understand the power level of, like, what succeeding with 2 advantage is, succeeding with 2 advantage in, like, a triumph is. Because then you can look at it and you can either treat it as, I now understand the power level of when this happens, I can now, like, point at an example and come up with something similar, or you can use that as a resource that's like, oh shit, I'm going to pick one of these options and then frame it in the narrative of, like, what we're doing right now. So I think it is a system that appeals to both types of play, which is a big positive. Also, I'll be right back. My dog is begging to go outside.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and that's a really interesting system that, again, is different than the story path system, because the story path system operates mechanically in a very different way, where you just make skill checks effectively. You combine your dice pools together, your attribute and your skill pools together. Maybe you apply some other power on top of that, but it's mostly okay, did this succeed? Did it not succeed? There's numbers of successes. There are over successes in the system as well as, like, critical successes. But it's not as interpretive, right? Where the Genesis system is another story-based system, but your dice check result is going to be a lot more interpretive of what's happening, because whether you just succeed or whether you succeed with triumph or whether you succeed with advantage changes mechanically in the system what you're getting out of it. And I bring this topic up today because last week we talked about some people trying to make a system perfect for them for everything, trying to make systems just be something it's not. I went through this myself. I tried to make a lot of TTRPGs that I've run for my group into something they weren't to try to fit a very specific idea or model that I had in my head that just I didn't know existed elsewhere. And to be fair, really didn't exist elsewhere, or at least not in a way that I particularly liked until Legend of the Mist came out, which was just last year, because City of the Mist was a good game, but it was limited more based on the move system, which it picked up from Powered by the Apocalypse. In fact, City of Mist is very much a Powered by the Apocalypse type game with just, you don't have stats, you have your tags, but they do roughly the same kinds of things. And Legend of the Mist and the Mist engine itself is a lot more of a contextual based game, and I really like it. I feel very good every time we play with it because players can do very interesting things, and they tend to all the time. Even in the last session.
It has a great incentive for creative solutions. I mean, I am very I'm not subtle with this at all, that my character in our Tuesday game is very much inspired by Jotaro specifically.
Right.
He's Jotaro, but instead of being a stoic, which is funny, it's only an anime thing. I'm reading the manga of part 3 right now. I'm almost halfway through. They've essentially just got to the Egypt part, which is where part 3 actually gets good.
Yeah.
And Jotaro is so expressive in the manga.
Yeah.
He feels like a teenager. He feels like he's actually meant to be 16 or 17. I forget which one he is.
Yeah.
But he feels like a teen, and he's he's not just a stoic asshole the whole time. It's really fun. But he's just like that. But if I took my actual real kind of attitudes I had when I was a teen at school, which was my reward for working hard is more work, so I'm not going to do it. That kind of shit. But the whole bit where you're throwing at me the flower petals that are gonna definitely probably burn or explode when they touch me. I was purely picturing, how would this resolve if it was a JoJo fight? And that's probably how they would handle it.
Yeah,
I agree. Something like that. And it's also it's very cinematic. It's very cool. It feels believable to do in a turn. And I don't think that's something another tabletop game could have really given me as a route. Having a character where I have literally a tag on him, but the point of him is that he thinks outside the box. He goes with really unorthodox strategies in the moment. At a quick moment, he creates a really creative idea. And can actually express that is a big benefit of it. Because I don't know how you were thinking, what solutions you had in your head of how to deal with that threat.
I didn't. I don't have to. You're the one who has to solve the problem.
So. More of because the character, because the guy I was fighting was then it felt like he was shit, man, I didn't think you'd do that. Because when you said that, I was I'm curious what other solutions you came up with in the moment if you were in that position as my character.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can tell you, the Warren Masters, the teacher guy, he watched your fight before and he took note because he's this guy's got a lot of potential. He seems to be able to make good calls. He just needs a little bit of help problem solving, and that's why he gave you a test that was specifically orientated around your weaknesses and around you can't be lazy in this moment to fix this. You can't just rely on your time angel to just beat stuff up. You got to come up with a good plan.
Yeah.
And I think he was more surprised than anything that you came up with a really good plan as quickly as you did, because before you didn't really show. Before it was okay, you looked at the problem and you're just all right, Angel, rip the thing out of the ground, grab it and pull it out. It's not a very, big brain kind of scheme. It's just a very
No.
like get through it with muscle. So he was surprised that you came up with such a good solution so quickly.
Yeah.
You also just rolled really, really well
I did.
for the check. So
It's also just the fact that I've built a character who he is at his absolute strong point when he is in a fight situation.
yeah,
Like that is his best moment. And like even as I've leveled up, like I feel like I've thought about like, do I add an academic type skill? And I'm like, it doesn't feel honest to him right now.
yeah,
That doesn't feel honest because like for him it is just like he can know all these like fun facts, but like when it gets down to it, he's doing the thing that is I am taming a creature and I am fighting it, and like he's finding that like that is more appealing. And it's the story largely that's fun to tell here of what I think is a relatable thing for people that going through education, because I mean it was for me too. It's like I have a real hard disconnect between like learning something that I look at and I'm like, I don't feel like there's a practical use case for this.
mm-hmm.
Or like because it's really hard for me to care about something if there is not a good reason or is not important for other people. It is a full on fail state I have of I physically cannot give a shit if somebody is like, let's do it this way and the decision is arbitrary. If there is a reason and I know that another person has like actually thought about it, cares about it, then yeah, I'm 100% willing. But if it's like because we've always done it this way or because I said so, those answers never work for me, like ever. So those are my struggle points in school, and playing that I think it's a story that a lot of people probably have gone through.
Yeah, and like what's great about Legend in the Mist is it's a game that you can kind of in a way weaponize even like your personality, your mood, like how your character gets through a scene matters, not just like what skills you're proficient in, but like your thoughts on it, your takes on it, your proficiency. Like the fact that you can have tags just purely dedicated to circumstances or purely dedicated to like Booter's character is great because he's got a luck-based theme. And so a lot of his stuff is one-time use, but very powerful. So, and because it's luck-based, he has to come up with specific scenarios where those tags can even be used in the first place. Because he can't just have like an omni luck ability that he can just always proc whatever. We talked about it, and it's like, yeah, no, it'd be more fun if he just created different scenarios where his luck can come in handy.
Yeah, like it's a good way to handle it. Like there's one element of Legend of the Mist that I was thinking of specifically last night of it's just like I'm always thinking about whatever characters I'm playing, how I want their story to go, or what I might see. I like the system it has of the power level of tags, because I was thinking about like what are some future tags I want to give him, and then because of that I was thinking, okay, when I like advance, say like his personality, or like his either his like his battle prodigy like tag thing, how would I progress it? What's a power level increase? And what I was thinking of like what's a power level increase of calm under pressure? My first thought was a disconcerting calmness. Like he's super calm under pressure, but the method he's now calm at is also somewhat weaponized, because imagine you're fighting a guy and you're doing a really clever move, and then you see your opponent has like 0 stress.
Right.
And then I'm at like having that moment of like, fuck, what are they planning? Fuck, did they outthink this? Like it's that level of like uncertainty that he's including, when in his head he's probably not thinking about anything. He's probably just like calm in the moment and ready to address the situation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, as someone who's had some martial experience before, there's nothing more intimidating than coming up to someone who looks like they're just, it's another Tuesday, because you're like, fuck, they've done this a lot, or they do this all the time, and maybe I'm outskilled here and I just don't know it, like if you're feeling tense and they're completely relaxed, it's just going to make you feel more tense in the situation.
Exactly. And like that was when I was thinking of what is a power level increase to the idea of being calm under pressure.
Yeah, I will say for the Beast Tamers, you guys won't be leveling up your basic themes in that way with might.
Okay.
Beasts will be the only thing that will really be might focused, mostly because the challenges you'll come across, the level of power a human can exert in a situation will be nothing compared to a beast. So
True. The only bits I'm thinking of are honestly, it's the because I have the two tags that are like more just about how my guy is a guy,
mhm.
because one of them is like specifically its trait. That's his his like unfound potential one, and then the other one is just the battle prodigy. Because those are the only two I'm thinking of. Like if they don't advance normal, then they don't advance normal. But
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely evolve it to another type of theme later. It's more just like when it refers to might is always like in relation to something else, right?
yeah,
So this way, I just made it this way so that we don't have to worry about the whole level up system. Like, oh, now I have to change this theme into something completely different. What? How would I do that? What's that about? A lot of it will just be you're as good really as the creatures you're utilizing, because your creatures are where like all your power really comes from.
yeah.
But you'll be able to evolve your themes, and evolving your themes is good because you can do stuff like that. You can consolidate certain tags together. Like you could have an intimidation and you can combine them to be one tag for those purposes. You can also expend some extra tags you have on a theme to gain more extra promise, which can help progress your character even further and faster. And as well, you can... I'm going to be opening up more options that you can use with the promise later, where you guys can develop things where, like Suzanne, for instance, her specialty, like quest, is to specialize in more than just one element. And that will require like going through promise to gain access to that, so that she can then expand her specialization further.
Makes sense.
So,
and yeah, Dead Phoenix, it is your next line is for Joseph.
yeah.
Which, you know what? I'm gonna say this too. This is my only format I can be upset about this. It is a crime that Joseph doesn't do that more in part 3.
Yeah.
It is, but also the sad part is that Joseph Joestar in part 3 gets like 2 fights. He is purely there as a plot tool to like mobilize the characters to the next chapter. Like that is his role. Is everything he does is like, hey, I know a guy. Hey, the Speedwagon Foundation bought us a fucking submarine. Like, hey, we got a dog coming in. Like that's his role. His role is to just advance the moving to Cairo. And he has 2 fights, and at least in one of them, he does your next line is, and it's to the weird tumor baby that's coming out of his arm.
Yeah.
Which is a fun fight. That fight is fun.
Yeah, he's also great comic relief because he's honestly one of the most expressive and goofy Joestars.
It's like him, and then, funnily enough, his kid. Him and Josuke are like the 2 most expressive and fun JoJos, if you're purely there for like the fun vibes instead of what other JoJo protagonists have, which is often called dark determination, which is the like, I'm going to beat you and I'm okay if I kill myself doing it.
Yeah.
Which is a weird reoccurring trend of JoJo. I mean, if you look at every part 5 fight with Mista, every fight resolves around, I'm going to shoot you, but because I'm shooting you, I'm also shooting myself, but I don't care. That's why Mista's very cool.
Yeah. But yeah, and speaking on TTRPGs, there's also TTRPGs where the whole point is to kind of mitigate the story as much as possible, make it just there enough to tell story, or to give players like the go-ahead for certain story choices. Like Monster of the Week is very much in this category of they don't have a lot of skills, so just a lot of things the characters can do can be summed up in 4 effective skills/attributes. And then everything else is based on what you have in your playbook, what options you have. And
yeah.
And it's fun, right? Because like I played a very weird, very like perfectionist type character. And I had a lot of fun just taking what options I had and just rolling with it, you know, just doing things like, yes, I have this ritual to help prevent werewolf, but it's Mongolian, so we need someone to do some Mongolian throat singing during the ceremony. Just a lot of really fun, silly things that, like, obviously that wasn't in a thing, but my character has enough smarts to just, like, get through things, just to do things, you know? It's real fun.
It's a fun character, like, archetype to have on your squad, because especially if it's going to come through the route of, like, because I could trust if you were coming up with a plan, it wasn't just a, hey guys, I have an auto win button. It was going to be like something that would require us to actually still work for it.
Yeah.
Which is very fun. And, like, I think that's the benefit of that type of bit, but it really is as a power. GM lets me do whatever I want, kind of thing. And, like, the worst you have to do is roll for it, but if you're upgrading your skill, you're fine. Like, you're gonna succeed, or at least mostly succeed.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. If anything, it's just a preference thing, because the game was fun. We had a lot of fun, and we told a really good story. I loved how that story ended.
I like the story that we told, and, like, it is a game that I still will say, and I doubt that, like, Vale would disagree, is, like, the game is hard carried by the group we had more than Monster of the Week as a system.
Yeah. But like, that's kind of the point of those kind of games.
Like, I could see myself, and I could see us having a game, like, a much worse experience if we were just not with a good GM and a good squad.
Yeah.
Because we had a squad that was able to roll with anything. We had, like, proper tone the whole time. Like, I think the way we were able to bounce between serious to, like, goofy moments was really good. And that's just what our like, group is really well suited for.
Yeah.
We know when to take things seriously and when not to.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? That's the point of those games. They offer so little system to get in your way so that you can then just tell a fun and interesting story, and the system itself provides some level of randomness, right? Like, does this important action succeed, or does it partially succeed, or, you know, whatever. Like, many of the Powered by the Apocalypse games roughly fit into this category, where there's a lot of like, some of them are a bit more crunchy than others, but the overall vibe is, okay, here's the thing my character can do in this scenario. We'll see how well it goes, and then we'll go from there in the story. And, like, most of the heavy lifting of, like, what you're doing in this story is mostly about how you're telling it. Like, what's Powered by the Apocalypse's main game?
You know, that's a great question. I thought it was just called Powered by the Apocalypse.
No. Blades in the Dark.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, that's like their flagship. Blades in the Dark has the flashback system, where you can come up with some kind of backstory of, like, how you have this thing or how you set up this plan or whatever in the moment. And lots of people love the flashback system, right? Because
I think it's really cool.
It's something that allows you to be like, all right, I'm going to use, I forget how you activate the flashback system thing, but, like, I'm going to pull out this flamethrower that I had with me because, you know, this and that or whatever. And, like, how you start a mission is you kind of role play how it started and where it went, and then you only come in to play the game when things go wrong, and things always go wrong during a heist of some kind or another. So it's a really fun game that gives off a very particular vibe. And
okay. I was curious because I didn't remember either, because we only did one thing of Blades in the Dark. It is depending on it's only when an operation is going, and it is, you can invoke a flashback to roll for an action in the past that impacts your current situation, and then depending on the severity of the flashback, it will cost, like, stress.
That's what it's stress. Yeah,
zero stress if it's, like, something really ordinary, like just something you could have believably done.
Yeah.
One, if it's like more complex, or it would be for like a chance-based encounter, or two, if it's like an elaborate scheme. So, like, I also annoyingly, I hate that this is the method, and I found it because it was a Reddit post talking about how to add the flashback mechanic to D&D. Then I found the actual rules for it through that.
That's fun. Yeah, which is... It's funny because D&D I haven't mentioned yet. We'll get to that because that's a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, so like the flashback system is really fun, right? But it is more just like a system based to allow the narrative to move forward, to allow you to do the fun thing, to have set up something. And it gives very perfectly the vibe, the heist vibe thing. You did a thing that wasn't explicitly stated yet in the story because, you know, this is the reveal of some back work you did. And it's really good. And that's another game that is somewhat similar to like not Music Masterminds, Monster of the Week, but very different because Monster of the Week is kind of more just out of the way so that you can hunt the monsters, and it's all about hunting the monsters. That's the fun part, like the spooky, scary parts, all that kind of stuff. Where Blades in the Dark is about the heists, and so they have mechanics specifically for the heists and all that, and they do have some skills and abilities, but most of that is just kind of enough there to just do what you're doing, right? To be able to succeed at the kinds of things you want your character to succeed at. But there's a lot of ways in those games where you can kind of just have your character's main stat do a lot of things, you know, most things that you might need.
Yeah.
And I don't like these games nearly as much as some others because I like building characters. I like the act of building a character and my character functionally being capable of doing things that other characters can't, right? And in a lot of these kind of games, if you have two like experts, for instance, in Monster of the Week, you could take different plays in your playbook, sure, but at the end of the day, there's nothing really stopping you from just playing pretty much the same. You know,
Yeah.
it's just the imagination of the person. And it's a little bit harder to play exactly the same in Blades in the Dark, but with certain kind of skill setups and taking certain playbooks, you can just play the same kind of, you know. It's all about interpretation, which is fine, right? It's fine. But that's not why I want to play TTRPGs. Like, I want to have a build. And how Legend in the Mist is different from this is you only get so many tags on your character sheet, and your tag refers to a lot of what your character can do. And even two similar types of tags can have different contexts in the story. A sword and a dagger can both pierce and cut, right? But a sword, you can use two-handed, and that would be beneficial. Or it would be good at certain kinds of scenarios, dueling with people. Well, a dagger, you can't, I mean, you could say I hold it in two hands, but I think no one would think that would be more beneficial, you know, to using the dagger. But the dagger can be hidden more easily than the sword. So you can do different things with these two cutting, piercing type weapons. And a dagger is easier to throw than a sword, which is also, you know, something that might come up when a character is not within easy reach of you, or you don't want to move towards that character for some reason or another. So it's a game that you literally, each and every tag you add to your character makes your character unique. And the only way characters can play the same is if they share the same tags. And that almost never happens, you know?
Yeah, like, because there's like other bits I'm thinking of where this is a common element for a lot of those types of games, is like you have even like a Vampire to an example, because we had some similar overlap with disciplines and such.
Yeah.
Of you have like similar options. And I mean, it was worse in the older games because it was literally each level gives you a different ability. Like, you don't have like a choice.
Yeah.
So like we had characters with dominate, where one went way more like you submit to me, and the other went more like I was never here. And those are two routes you can take, but eventually you're going to be taking the same shit, and it just depends on, like, you can roleplay it out differently, but mechanically speaking, when you look at it, you're still like, we're kind of the same character. We have the same abilities and tools. It's just we say they're a little different. When some people, like, I don't have, that's not like a break point for me. Like, I can work with that, but my want will always be like, I'd like it if there was more, variety and more options for people to express their character.
Yeah, and games like Pathfinder do offer that because, you could play two different fighters, right? But what weapon you select is like your good weapon will vastly change how you play the game. And what feats you select, what archetypes you select, can make your characters actually very differently capable in the system. Whether you try to go, like the intelligence fighter route, which is a very fun one, or maybe you're like a mauler type who you're just about laying enemies low, laying them flat. Maybe you go heavy armor, maybe you go range. Like, two fighters are not inherently like the same but played differently, right? Where some of these other games where, like typically when you play Monster of the Week, you just agree that no one picks the same playbooks. That's how you make the characters different. And that's fine for the most part. But I would want in a game that I'm playing to have the freedom to kind of like be able to choose a similar kind of option, but play it very differently than someone else. Not that I do that very often. Usually I'm very keen on the whole, we'll play different things and play the game in different ways. But if I have an idea for a character, I would like to, be able to do so without feeling like, well, because even in Monster of the Week, we had a character whose playbook was a magic type character, and we did play somewhat differently, but I felt like my character was just more magical by the end of it because I just did more rituals and did more stuff, and his character was a lot more based on using like attack spells or defense spells and stuff like that. But the vibe definitely was like, well, but I'm doing the magic rituals that are sealing the monster away. So, again, nothing wrong with those playstyles. This is a preference thing, and I think that's completely okay to have different preferences. But
I think things are better when people have different preferences and are able to express them.
Yeah. And speaking on preferences, let's talk about D&D.
Oh boy.
So, you could say, very surface level, D&D is like Pathfinder. It is a strategy-based combat TTRPG, combat simulator. But is that why people are playing D&D? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Like, don't get me wrong, right? I do think some people do play D&D for the combat elements in the game. I've ran Adventure League. I participated in Adventure League enough to know there's a lot of people who are there just to play their builds. And that's the reason they're there. But what has made D&D popular, what has made D&D, I think, the touchstone of TTRPGs is the idea you can play anything. And I think that's to its benefit, but also to its downside. Because when you watch live plays, when you watch people talk about their games and all this other kind of stuff, they may talk about when they did something cool, when they used a mechanic in an interesting way, but a lot of times what they're talking about is like who their character is, what their character does. Like, I'm a barbarian pixie. That's a very fun one a lot of people like to talk about because it's very silly, the idea of a barbarian pixie who hits you like a bus and is the size of your thumb, It's a game that allows you to play, there's so many different ancestries in D&D or lineages. What are they called in 5.5?
I do not remember. It might be called ancestries now.
Maybe. Races, whatever. There's so many, more than classes. In fact, there's more. They keep coming out with more and more because these are easy to make. Race / ancestry choices than actual like class choices. And I don't think that's by mistake. I think that's by design because what people want is to play their silly little guys.
Yeah.
And it's fun when you pick a character who looks kind of funny, does weird things, you know, has fun little abilities. And like a large majority of the casual base make fun little characters who can do interesting things and are interesting things. You know, some of them have ideas for characters, but, you know, whenever I hear someone talk about their character, I hear about like Granny Turtle, right? I'm playing an old lady tortoise person who's like a druid, and she's got like this good defense and this other people, and she likes to give people snacks in the form of the good berry spell. You know, like she gives you a little muffin, and she's like, "Here you go, honey." Like that's their character idea. Thinking about the one dev who said barbarian could have been a fighter subclass.
Ugh.
And they're working for Daggerheart now.
It's just, I don't understand. I get that there's an idea that too much choice is bad, and because it does, choice paralysis, pretty annoying. It does come up. I don't think making your game have less, when your game is famous for like, DM, I want to play this weird idea. The game doesn't allow for it, but let's work for it. I don't think giving that game less options is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, it's very rare I come across an idea for D&D that is like exactly rules as written D&D. Well, everyone I've played with has character ideas that are pretty weird, kooky, and you have to do some stretching for it.
Yeah. Interpretations of the rules and characters and all this kind of stuff.
Which is like cool and fine, but I don't know. It's not the game that you should start. Like, let's start removing stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a problem with options and everything like that. I think it's fun to have a tabletop game that's kind of a little bit of dress up, right? That the whole point is just to make goofy characters and have fun. Because at the end of the day, right, that's why we're playing TTRPGs. And while I do think there definitely are power gamers in the D&D space, the sheer number of broken build videos out there and how well they do, I think shows that there's a good number of power gamers out there. A lot of these builds are also power gamers by like grace of interpretation, like the meteor dropping cows on people, right? Because like by some rule, technically it's like, well, I can summon a cow like anywhere, right? And the game doesn't say you can't. And so like if I drop this cow on someone, you know, and it's a TTRPG game, so everyone, it's turn based, so the cow's gonna fall and hit the person before their turn comes up, and do like damage, right? And it's a low level spell slot to summon a cow. It's interesting and fun, but a lot of that's like interpretive, right? Like, is the sky a available place for a cow to be summoned on? You know, I think that one idea already kind of breaks it, but whatever, that's not the point. The point is that when I think and try to honestly ask myself, why do people play D&D? Like, what makes them choose D&D as their game system? I think it's just that. It's kind of like the blank canvas of fantasy TTRPGs, where there's no one is really thinking about playing in the Forgotten Realms. Let's be real honest here. No one's really thinking about the lore and the place or whatever. No, I shouldn't say no one. Most people, most casual players are not thinking about the lore and everything like that. In fact, most D&D games take place in homebrewed settings anyway. So they're just there to play silly, fun characters. And I know this because when you hear people talk about their characters, they're not usually talking about just the meta. They're just talking about how they did a silly thing, made a silly type of character. And not that, again, those people don't exist, the power gamers and what, but I would find D&D to be one of those games that power gaming feels a little strange in, because, yeah, sure, you can definitely power game in D&D. But there's only so many ways you can power game in D&D, and for those people, I feel like they're not playing for the tactical combat part, right? They're playing to play a broken character, to feel good for breaking the game and playing a character who could kill someone in a single strike, you know? Like, at that point, it's more just like a number simulator. Like, okay, how do I adjust these numbers in a way where I can do a certain amount of damage with a single strike?
Or how much AC can I get on my character?
Yeah,
that's what I would come across a bit more often.
It's a very common one because it's very easy to get like 20 plus AC at the beginning of the game.
Forge Cleric is honestly one of the best answers. But yeah, like there's those levels of enjoyment. But I think a big one, honestly, is I think the big strength that D&D has is that it is so accessible.
Yeah.
It is like the most accessible game because I think if you're taking something and you want to teach a new person how to play it, I would say D&D is a really easy one for someone to learn if it's, you know, the person actually knows how to play. I found that a lot of people overcomplicate D&D, and so I would always cut to the middle of it for new players, and they'd catch it pretty quick because I would simply tell them, ignore everything else. How you play the game is if you want to do a thing, you roll that dice and you add a number to it. And your sheet is there to tell you what number you add. That is it. And then they're like, that's when I see the click moment. Because it's really simple. And then it's simply, I will tell you to roll, you do the thing, and then you tell me what number you got. That is how you play. And they're like, oh. Then that does the heavy lifting for them, and then now they're able to creatively come up with some situations. And then I think D&D 5th edition, I don't know about 5.5, but 5th edition has one of the best starter boxes I've ever had. Its starter box for Minds of Phandelver is a genuinely very good starting point. It is so well designed to, you grab the box and like once you bring it home with your buddies, you can start playing. Like that is good design. It's just, it falls apart if you're the type of player to really get crunchy into it.
Yeah. And so I think more succinctly than I've said so far, D&D 5e, why people choose and play D&D 5e is D&D 5e is the sandbox of TTRPGs.
Mm-hmm.
You can play whatever. You can play a serious game if you want to, or you can play a silly game if you want to. You can play in whatever settings you want to, and there's such this idea of homebrew in D&D, and it exists because they are going through the same thing I went through before I found Legend in the Mist, right? I tried to make other TTRPGs better fit my more ideal for what I wanted for a TTRPG. And for them, they just don't know enough about TTRPGs. It's a lot of hassle to learn and play other TTRPGs. You have to convince other people to play a new TTRPG. And most people don't even have consistent groups. So D&D is just so accessible, like Alex said, making it very ideal for homebrew because, you know, if this is the only game I can play, if this is the game that, you know, does what I want, mostly, might as well just slap on whatever I want to improve that experience. And so that's why it is what it is. It's different than Pathfinder, and I feel like I should have realized this sooner, but like all the Pathfinder people who are like, well, you know, this is fixed in Pathfinder. No, it's not. It's not fixed in Pathfinder. You know why? Because they're not playing the same game as you are. They're not playing the tactical TTRPG game. They're playing the sandbox game where they could do their funny little things. And
like, I love Pathfinder, but it is a not a game I would be like, hey, you know what you'd love because you've never played tabletop games before? I think you'd love Pathfinder.
Yeah.
It's not something I would do because I think Pathfinder is a great game, and a great game if you love tabletop games and like you were aware. But if you're gonna get like super into Pathfinder, I do think stepping from D&D is like a good route for you, because then you're gonna like understand a lot of the base things that the game is asking you to do, and like making assumptions that you know how to do, because it's a lot to manage and it's a lot more complicated than the D&D's. And like, sure, everything still resolves around like, yeah, you roll that dice and you add a number to it, and then you add like 5 other like steps or just like different mechanics and things that are going around, and like a new player is just going to get overwhelmed because it's just too much you're throwing at them. And like, so you gotta start somewhere. Like, Pathfinder is not a game I would start with for anybody. I think you got to get a little bit of an understanding, or have a really good group that is able to like break things down and help you out. Because I think you can learn really easily as long as your GM is like, we're gonna start at like level 1. Don't think about like your future stuff. Just pick as we go. And these are the classes you're not allowed to play. Like, don't give a new player like Oracle or something.
Yeah.
Like, Sorcerer is nice and simple, Fighter is nice and simple, Rogue is nice and simple. Just like play a standard thing.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, nowadays, the more I learn about Daggerheart, the more I'm like, Daggerheart's probably even a better starter game than D&D. You only get 5 abilities, right? You get 5 cards from your not disciplines. What are they called? I forget. It doesn't matter. You get 5 cards from your abilities, and you don't really have skills on your character sheet as much as like RP skills, which are fine and they can apply to certain things. And the fear and hope system works really well, right? And everything uses fear and hope for the most part. So you just need the 2d12s to play the game.
Yeah.
And it's also really hard for your character to die because you need to go through wound thresholds in order to go down. And the most damage you can take at once is 3 bars. So characters can make more mistakes and do all kinds of things. And also something that I feel like has clashed with the TTRPG scene in general, because everyone's just so used to how combat runs in D&D, right? But in Daggerheart, combat is just another part of the game. It doesn't operate differently than how another skill check plays. There's not really like a gameplay mechanic specifically for combat, because they just treat combat like anything else. Kind of like how Legend of the Mist does it. Legend of the Mist, like, combat is just how you play exactly the same as everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that works really well, but it just has clashed so much because so many people are used to the grid-based TTRPG, kind of like D&D, kind of like Pathfinder, that like the idea that combat doesn't have the same kind of rigorous, or it doesn't have the same super rigorous rules that it does in other TTRPGs, really clashes with people. But I feel like as time goes on and more people are getting into the hobby, I think Daggerheart's going to become just the better game, because it's going to not have that division right away, so that then players can opt into more grid-based games if that's what they want. But most of the game plays in the same mode the whole time. Like, all modes are exploration mode, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing too. Like, if Daggerheart becomes a game that is a really good starter game, I think that's a great thing. I still hold that Daggerheart is interesting, but not my speed. Like, I think it seems very cool on the surface. It's too D&D for me.
Yeah.
But like, I would love more games that I think are interesting, are trying to do something cool, and are super beginner friendly. Because like, I don't think every game needs to be beginner friendly. Like, I think you should have levels of stuff where you can design things for audiences and like have a game that is inherently not accessible. I would, not even just as an excuse to bring it up, I would put that as like what Diablo and Path of Exile is.
Yeah.
Diablo is super, super accessible. Same with like Last Epoch, I would say too. Last Epoch is really accessible.
A bit less than Diablo, but sure.
I would say it's a step above Diablo. But I would say that if someone was coming at me like, hey, I've never played an ARPG before. I want to play Path of Exile 2, but also Last Epoch looks good. I'd be like, I think you should maybe start with Last Epoch.
Yeah.
But like, what PoE has is, if you're really into the genre and you're really into that vibe, it has a lot of stuff there to keep you. I have always thought I was a hater of ARPGs, largely because I can't stand the click mechanic at all.
Yeah.
I hate that as a method of controlling my character. I feel like I'm not in control, and I'm not used to it. I grew up playing like, it's called Fate. It is Diablo for children.
Yep.
And then when I got older, I played Diablo 3. And I was like, I don't really fuck with this. And then Path of Exile got me because it's not accessible, but I put in the effort to like learn it. I was like, oh shit, this is really good. This is well, specifically PoE 2. I think PoE 2's combat is way more interesting than PoE 1. And so I find the gameplay way more fun in the second game. But like that's the thing. You should have a game because it has the opening of somebody can get into it if they really put the effort in, or they can come back to it later when they'll gain an appreciation for it. They understand like base mechanics that it's pulling with. And that is an important thing we should have. And some things will just take effort to get into, but also in that same vein, I think more games that help new players get into it better, like the better. It's why I'll really shout out, like, I think Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 are two of like the best fighting games if you want to get into like the fighting game genre. They're really good because the tutorials take a lot of effort to make you understand fighting game terminology, how frame data works, how combos work, and it really gives you a ground understanding in its tutorials and training modes to like understand what goes into these games.
Yeah. And I agree. I think like that's honestly the best part about D&D, right? D&D is the sandbox game, but that means you can engage with the hobby in a way that you like and then go from there. You don't have to play D&D so rigorously in certain ways. And it's so open and there's so much stuff and like power is so accessible in the game that like for people who want to play TTRPGs in any kind of way, you can almost find in D&D. And that's the frustrating part, right? For people who are in the hobby who do play more games, it's frustrating that there's so many people who are just like, I'll just slap it on D&D instead, because we have the viewpoint, the POV of, yeah, but these other games will do what you're looking for better, right? Like, I know your experience, what you're looking for. I know a game that's better for you. But to them, they don't have that POV. They don't have that experience. And so they have a hard time seeing why another game is better. And when they try those other games, even ones they're recommended, it's such a different type of game than what they're used to that there's more friction to get into it than they might be ready for, especially if they're on the more casual end of things.
Yeah, and like it's just oftentimes I think there's a big issue with tabletop games, and honestly, it's just nerdy things in general. I think most people need to accept that they're like not good at teaching people things. Because it is a skill to like impart information to another human being. It is not as easy as it sounds, because I think a lot of times people's excitement overtakes like what somebody in a moment actually needs to hear and understand. And so there's games that can be perfectly accessible and really easy to learn, but you have to break it down. Because I developed my whole like, this is how you play D&D for your first time method after being frustrated with people at my table, because my first experiences outside of literally playing with you, basically, Cam, is playing with people who were brand new, like helping introduce people to the game. And so that's where I developed it, because I kept seeing them like, oh, then there's this thing, but also this, and they just add like 5 layers of like, because they just want to talk about their interest.
Yeah.
And that's cool and all, but like, let's build a baseline first, so then they can understand what the fuck you're talking about. And I mean, I take that same strategy to my YouTube channel, because I love the good old 2-hour lore videos, but I'll be super honest, it turns into word salad if somebody doesn't understand the framework. You can go more in detail, but I think you need to cut to the chase of what the point of the thing you're listening to is really, really quick. And I think there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube that are very bloated, because it is, when you could spend 10 minutes and get to the fucking point, people will learn more than like an hour-long video.
Yeah, I mean, my tier list video, like I said, I watched that a fair bit, is a really good like meter for how deep someone is in the hobby versus the others, because there's a lot of people who are like, I don't see why you're talking about this, and there's a lot of people who are like, I see where you're coming from, and it's just based on the different levels. Like, there's so many people who can't comprehend why someone would make a tier list for anything other than combat. in Pathfinder, and it's like
it's the funny bit that gets me is there's a lot of people who don't seem to understand the idea of a tier list being a very opinionated thing.
Yeah.
Even when you say this is my very subjective opinion, that's where I still have my favorite comment where someone accused me of being a power gamer.
Yeah.
Because I then said you really need to start playing tabletop games to play a character instead of a build, and I had to look at it and be like, yeah, yeah, I probably should start doing that.
Yeah.
Because I said Druid is cringe because of nature magic, and Bard is boring. Yeah, I know, crazy takes.
Yeah, like one of my most common comments on my tier list video is everyone being upset that I would rate the roleplay value of a class. And then you're just like, this video shows that you have no imagination. And I'm like, I explained in the video, I'm talking about what the class offers you.
Yeah. Like, I would say, like, Fighter is one of my favorite classes in Pathfinder 2, because I think I love how versatile it is to make the character I want to make. And I love that fact of Fighter. But you make it really clear that the standard is, are you leaving the character, like the character page, with a strong identity of who your character is outside of the thing you have to do purely by your own? Because Fighter, you have to do all the heavy lifting. Exemplar, it's maybe a 50-50. You're leaving Exemplar with a character that is interesting because you picked Exemplar. Like, that's what that means.
Yeah.
And to that extent, I believe Fighter should be really low for that, because Fighter, you have to do fucking all of it. But on the upside, Fighter is really nice if you're a person that likes to do all that heavy lifting yourself. You just want to tinker and make the perfect thing. Like, that's the difference. And you make that really clear. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly. I'm just like, this is but what the classes offer you. This is what you can do. Like, everyone's so upset about my take on Champion, because I'm just like, Champion pigeonholes you into a specific role, right? You are the champion of a god. So, and everyone's just like, yeah, but like, you could do so many things. There's so many different gods. Like, yes, but if you have two champions of the same god, how different are they going to be?
Yeah, like, Champion also has a role. Champion is like, the thing I don't like about it is Champion feels very like classic tank gameplay, which I don't fuck with. I find it a little boring, but Champion is a thing where you're not opting into like a wide amount of expression. You're opting into, I'm playing a religious character who exalts a god. How I exalt the god and what god it is can be interesting choices, but there's still a lot of lifting you're doing on that aspect. Like, you're still making those roleplay like character decisions, and you have to make that character more interesting than, like, again, like something like Oracle. Oracle is, I think, has high roleplay ability, because inherently, what the fuck was with your curse, dude?
Yeah.
Like, how do you roleplay through that? How do you roleplay the fact that you're slowly trying to float up into the fucking atmosphere?
Yeah. Yeah, which I actually don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, sadly.
I have to double check, but yeah, so, you know, it's like, people engage with tabletop in different ways at different levels, and like, beginner games are there, like sandbox games like D&D are valuable for that reason, but the problem is that it becomes a quagmire real quickly when the rest of the hobby is so obscure, right? Most people don't know about I don't even know about all the TTRPGs out there. I'm learning about new TTRPGs literally all the time. It's so hard because there's just not good media coverage for TTRPGs. And so what happens is D&D becomes a quagmire because people don't know what other options they have. So they try to make D&D the game that they want, because they don't know that there's other games and there's not enough hype around other games to even draw your friends in with you, right? Like, I'm blessed / not blessed, because really this is just how I curate my friend group, but I'm blessed to have friends who want to try new TTRPGs and who will play TTRPGs with me regularly, right? That's again, mostly just because that's just how I curate my friend group. But still,
Yeah.
like, I'm fortunate for it regardless. And most people don't have that. And so, you know, what do you do? What do you do when you want to play a game, but everyone wants to play another game? You just kind of meet in the middle. You compromise. You put the thing into the other game, you know, that you like.
To try to at least, because the important bit that's going to have to be the thing is you have to make sure playing the game with your friends, you actually get that opportunity to do so.
Yeah. And it's a time sink, and time is precious. And TTRPGs, we can't just play TTRPGs like we play video games, plain and simple, right? It's very hard to play a TTRPG for 8 hours straight versus a video game for 8 hours straight.
True. It's something that I hate and I'm like not happy about, because I would love to do more. But like, I have found, especially as I've pulled back how much tabletop games a week I'm playing, and as I'm getting older with like just more responsibilities in general, like once I'm getting to like 4-hour tabletop session, I'm getting fucking drained. Like I am mentally drained, socially drained. Like my battery's running low. So like I could never do the huge long games. I could never do that. Like 4 hours is like my sweet spot. Because it is where I can at least, I'm not gonna like just bring shit down because my character is gonna be way less responsive and active.
Yeah, and I love TTRPGs, right? I made this my life. 4 hours is still like my sweet spot too, because, you know, especially for me who plays the GM typically, I use a lot of brain power to run my sessions. My brain is constantly going the whole time. I'm responding to everyone. Like, compared to a player, I'm interacting all the time. So 4 hours is like where I kind of sit at as well. I can't do 8-hour sessions like I used to when I was in high school. It's just not enough time, not enough brain power. Man, I remember playing those games, and I remember like I used to get 2-liter things of Mountain Dew, right? And I was like, I used to think I just liked Mountain Dew back in the day, but now I'm thinking about it. Maybe I just needed the energy. Maybe I just needed the sugar to get through those 8-hour sessions.
I could see it.
Yeah, and you don't have to feel bad because it takes a lot of energy. It's a lot of brain power. If you're playing TTRPGs right, it takes a lot of brain power. And people don't know this, but our brain uses the most calories of anything else we do in a day.
That is true. Like, it is nice in like the idea of I want to play stuff all day. The other bit that gets me with it is, again, it's because being older and having responsibilities. Like I love my friends. I love them all. I'm sorry, I cannot spend like the entire day every day with my friends. I have shit I gotta do, man. I have a job. I got like my also in my personal life, social life. I have shit I gotta do at the house. I just do not have the time of the day to do it. As much as I would love to, again, just be able to hang out. Whenever we do that, that's a special occasion that was marked for once a year.
Right.
Because it's a special occasion and I can set aside time to do it. I'm also a person, and I think this just hits for some people in tabletop and nerd spaces. I'm a person I have to monitor a social battery because like I do just get exhausted around people. Like I wish it was the other way around. And the only way you can really, and the best thing you can do, I think, for your friends is just make sure that like you're not just, I guess, burning yourself out just by being around them. That's not good. Your friends don't want that. You shouldn't want that either. So having a sweet spot and being very open of like, I'm sorry, I'm not playing an 8-hour tabletop session, which I have done, I think is honestly the better thing to do in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And hobbies shouldn't be work, you know?
Yeah. I would rather my friend tell me, like, hey, what if we did this marathon game? I'd rather my friend tell me no shot, like not doing that. And then the game I do get to play is with my friend actually like at 10 the whole time, rather than them getting burnt out and just kind of not doing anything for the rest of the time.
Yeah, for sure. And I always advocate for life first, you know, tabletop second. As sad as it is sometimes when someone has to call out, it's like, That's just how life is.
Yeah. Shit happens, like shit can pop up like at a moment's notice. It's just understandable. Because it shouldn't be harder to call out of your tabletop game than it is for work.
Yeah. True. Yeah, Devin. Devin's playing the real life though. He's got so many TTRPGs he's in.
I mean, he has the stamina for it, to be honest. Like, I know, like, him and Vale have the stamina to just be doing that constantly. I can't. I have found that, like, literally 2 is my max, but I still would prefer 1 a week.
I'm pretty happy with 2. 2, I think, feels good for me in a week. Sometimes I'm feeling 3 because I just, like, I just want to play so much tabletop and just not enough time, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, like, when it comes to tabletop games, I think people really need to get over the idea that tabletop is a thing specifically, like a experience. There's just so much when it comes to a tabletop game and gaming session and whatever. And like, yeah. I actually agree that D&D is probably one of just the better beer and pretzel TTRPGs out there because no one takes it that seriously. Like, Legends of Avantris has told us that D&D is most fun when the game is just ridiculous.
It is most fun when, like, I can't tell that they're playing D&D.
Yeah.
That is just an aspect of Advantris that I find the most fun. Because it's just... all it is people being funny at each other, and I don't have to listen to the boring rule set. The only time I've actually heard them play gameplay is the fucking shitmouth shitjaws clip. Because one of the players is trying to do his turn as like everyone else is losing their mind, which funnily the 2 GMs are losing their mind that their friend picked the worst possible name because he panicked in the moment.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious that like you just panic and pick, because I think it's hilarious because that's me. Whenever I'm thrown in a bit, I have like the first funny thought and then I can't think of any other serious answer.
Yeah, so it's like, that's okay. Like, D&D being that game, the goofy game, the fun game, the let's just do whatever kind of game, like, don't get me wrong, you can play D&D seriously. I'm not saying you can't play D&D seriously. But I feel like D&D is at its funnest when it's just kind of just people doing whatever and just having fun and not caring too much about the rules.
It's the vibe for tabletop that I think is just a good one to have, is having... I would like the idea that D&D is a very casual experience. Like, I say that because I've played a very heavily modified D&D that was super serious and very fun. But, like, if that's the vibe for D&D, that it is just a very laid-back experience, I feel like it's just better for new people.
Yeah.
And we're also saying this from the perspective that we're not the type of nerds that are like, stay out of our hobbies.
Yeah.
Because I don't care. My day-to-day life is not impacted by more people joining. It just makes it easier for me because then I get to talk about it more.
Yeah, so. And again, it makes no sense because TTRPGs are just not one thing, so.
Yeah.
You know, these same people, these OSR types or these whatever, like, they're just like, this is how you play TTRPGs, and it's just like, no. No, it's not. It's how you play your game, and that's fine. And I think that's fun for you. But that's just not how all other TTRPGs should be played.
No, it'll be a very sad day, and it'll be a very sad day in my life if I ever get to a point where I'm, like, genuinely trying to police someone else's fun.
Right.
It is... I will never budge from my opinion that it is, like, the most pathetic behavior you can do.
Yeah, I agree. It's so unnecessary. And, like, don't get me wrong, I understand why people feel that way. I understand why people come to these conclusions. But they're just not... they're not rooted in reality.
Right. Like, I can understand why someone thinks it. I will then immediately follow it up with, I think it's a very stupid reason. But, like, I still, like, I can understand.
I mean, yeah, I have to give some level of respect to people just being people, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all just people.
We are.
And sometimes people have flaws in annoying areas, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that is why I say it very openly, because it also lessens the chance that I have to interact with people who act like that.
That's fair. That's fair. Good survival tactic.
Yeah,
Uh, it's just, you know, I think TTRPGs are interesting when we come from this kind of viewpoint. Like, what's the point? Why are we here? What are we doing? Because I feel like if people ask themselves that more genuinely when they engage with the hobby, you'll start getting into and playing games that you actually want to play.
yeah. I do think it is like an actual thing I land on pretty often, is asking that question, like, to people, because I think it's an important question. I agree, in the regard of like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, if there's a conversation that's feeling really weird, if someone's coming at you very combatively for no reason, I feel like the question of, well, what are we doing? Because that's really, sometimes we get into something, we enjoy something, we like something, or we just start behaving a certain way, and then you don't stop and think about why. And like that also, it can be the very negative forms of that, but it can be in the positive ways of, I think it's important if you're realizing you're really vibing with something. I think it does good to sit down with yourself after and like really think about what about that appealed to you, because it's also going to open yourself up for things in the future that you might enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, if you love a game, like you walk away from a session your friends are trying out adoring it, uh and like that's your take, I think what you should do is like sit with that and be like, why did I like that? What parts of this game did I find fun? Was it like a table thing? Was it the rules of this thing? Was it the mechanics? And like examine it, because it's going to make you more open to just other experiences that are similar. And opening your horizons as a person is, I think, just an honest, good thing to do. You only get like a limited time on Earth, might as well enjoy all the things you can and try to find as many things as you can love.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have tried Legend of the Mist had I not been open to the idea of trying it out, you know? Because, again, we were talking about it, and we were, like, superly enthusiastic about it when I was playing with the idea of looking into it. And then I played it, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And then I had a mental breakdown for, like, a month. But I'm fine. now I'm better. Just because it's one of those things where, you know, TTRPGs are so versatile. They can create so many different kinds of experience, so many different vibes, and people are nostalgic. You know, some people really hold on to why they liked a game before, particularly, and why I don't think that's a bad thing, and why I definitely think that sometimes it's just about the vibe of a game more than it is anything else, is very valid. Sometimes people do eventually like open up and they're like, okay, I'm seeing where this game is going. I'm seeing where this system is working and why it's good. Because, like, I feel like, honestly, if I interacted with Genesis more genuinely, I would like Genesis more. Because I'm the kind of person who can fuck around with that dice system and have a good time because I'm an improv guy. That's all I do, you know?
It's such a good dice system.
Yeah.
Like, God, I want to play it, and the other part of me is like, we should engage with it most honestly, and I would love to do a Star Wars game, but also, Star Wars. Just funny. Actually, this is really fun for me. I accidentally got a tweet of mine doing all right because said I made a hot take that I think the only good Star Wars movies are 5 and 8. Or not even good. I'd say they're the only Star Wars movies I liked is 5 and 8. And thankfully, everybody in my comments has just been very like normal, because they're all like just genuinely engaging with. Because if you communicate your opinions on Twitter, sometimes you get jumped, but other times you can have a conversation and walk away from it like, oh yeah, we just like different things, and that's totally fine. Because I'll happily walk away from the fact that like I don't like Star Wars because I don't think George Lucas is that good of a writer. Like, I don't like how he writes. I think it's very stilted and very like non-human. But I respect a lot of his like progression of film tech, and I think that he's also like a very good element of rule of cool, even though people then take his ideas of Star Wars being whatever he wants in the moment and then try to put hard rules on like a very soft magic system is very goofy to me. And then Disney treats it like a cash cow. They can just like, look, it's the thing you recognize. Clap now. Like, I don't like that. Like, the video games are sick. And like that's the thing. I like the idea of the Star Wars world, like in the vibe you can get sometimes. But man, oh man, it's like, do I just not give a shit about like most of the things in it? Yeah, like Last Jedi, which interestingly enough, apparently it's a thing. Like it's a trend where people say it like it's a gotcha. Like, oh, of course the Star Wars hater thinks the Last Jedi is good, and to me that makes sense. It's because I think it's the most interesting movie of the like 7, 8, 9 because it's written by a human being and directed by one guy instead of a committee. But it's the same way with like Marvel. It's like for example, I don't like a lot of Marvel stuff, but I think that Multiverse of Madness is a really cool movie because I like Sam Raimi and I think he's a good horror director. But I also could look at it and be like, if I was a huge Uber fan of the MCU, like Multiverse of Madness just kind of takes what you liked about it and shits on it. So I can understand hating it as like a fan of the series, but I like it because I think it's an interesting art piece. Like that's my issue. I want to play the system I love, but the system I love is fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Genesis, really.
Yeah, it's just it's the all the stuff I interacted with and loved is in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's that nostalgia.
That's it is. It's nostalgia for like the system I had a lot of fun with, and like because there's a lot of vibes that are fun. So I also will say like the only time I've ever felt like the magic of Star Wars where I felt like a fan is with Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. Like those two games, I think are so good. I love Cal Kestis as like a Jedi character, and it is the first time in a Star Wars property I have felt intimidated by Darth Vader. Because every other time he just feels like he's a bumbling big robot man in a plastic suit.
Yeah. I'm a big KOTOR fan. I love Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2.
That one's fun. I do like KOTOR. I need to play KOTOR too.
Those are like what really made me a Star Wars fan, to at least the degree that I am. More of a KOTOR fan than a Star Wars fan, but you know.
Fair. I mean, it's just a really good BioWare game at the end of the day.
And the MMO is really good too.
I've heard that. I've heard the MMO is really cool.
But yeah, so like you can't change people, right? Like no matter how good of conversations we have here on the channel, we're not going to change the grand majority of people in the space unless, you know, like become super famous. And if anything, I want people who watch like today's stream or whatever to come away with the idea that like when you're approaching like your standard weekly group, or when you interact with TTRPGs in general, like you gotta ask like, what's the point? Where are we doing this today? Because I know our group, we have our TTRPG night, and that's just like the tradition. We've been doing that for literally years now, like almost a decade for some of us. And I don't want it, like I want to run my games, don't get me wrong, and I love TTRPGs and I have not gotten bored of them at all, but I don't want it to be a thing that we're doing just because it's the tradition of doing it, right? Like I even recently was just like, hey, I just need a game day, I just need to play some video games with people, and like this is the only day we all get together.
Yeah.
And
like I would have joined that if I hadn't, you know, needed to call out.
Yeah, no worries. And that was just the thing where it's just like, okay, here's an opportunity, we'll do this today, and it's okay. It's okay to not play TTRPGs for a week or two and just play video games if that's what makes you happier in the moment.
Yeah,
and
I think it's like I like our vibe of it because I hold it and I know other people hold it too. Is like at most our game night on Tuesday is a really fun method for us to all hang out.
Yeah.
And so if it's like we're not playing tabletop games but still hanging out, it feels like it's still like, you know, it's a good day. Like I would love to play the tabletop game, obviously, but it's also just a really good reoccurring hangout with my friends. So like I don't care exactly like what we're doing as long as we're hanging out. That's my want every time I show up on a Tuesday.
Yeah, and that should be the thing of like, we're all coming together because we think that today playing the TTRPG is the thing that we want to do. And, you know, not we're coming today because this is our weekly thing. Like I stream our games, but honestly, with how just loose we've been with it and how unstressed we've been with it. I'm sure people even forget most of the time that we're streaming.
Yeah, I don't treat it like we stream.
And I don't stream for entertainment value. That's not like the reason why we're doing this. I agree. I was watching What is Tabletop, and they made a really good point. If you're intending on making a live play, the purpose of running the games then is the live play. Like, it doesn't mean you can't have fun with it, but you have to have fun with it in the way that's a live play.
I completely agree.
Like, crap, what's Brennan's show?
Oh, Dimension 20.
Dimension 20. I was like, DC 20? No, that's not right. Yeah, Dimension 20. They're there to have fun in a goofy TTRPG show. Legend of Adventurous, most of the time, they're just there to have fun role-playing silly little guys. You know, it's really fun for them to play their goofy characters. Sometimes it's very evident that they're tired of the character that just like will never die because the audience loves the character so much, like Chuckles, for instance.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they have a lot of fun. They're laughing and they're enjoying it. And our live plays that we do on the channel are not like the same vibe, right? It's us playing a game that we like and we're enjoying. And the reason why I run it on the channel in the first place is just so people who want to see how people genuinely interact with the game play the game.
I honestly treat it more like it's like an archive of the thing we're doing. So it is the same thing as you're just recording it so you can take better notes. Is kind of the vibe I have whenever we show up. So I don't feel any pressure to perform.
Yeah.
But like, as a live play product, as a pivotal hater of the live play format, I have a big issue because I think a lot of live play formats need to figure out what their niche is going to be and like what are they going to fill and what's the product that they're making. Because Dimension 20 and Adventures, I think, are some of the best actual plays out there because they really understand what they're doing. They understand the product that they're making. And so Adventures is at its most fun when they're not progressing the plot. And then Dimension 20 just has an insane production value. And honestly, at some point, I'm going to have to try and sit down and watch the World of Darkness Vampire the Masquerade game they're doing. Because it's literally, it feels like it's What We Do in the Shadows inspired.
Yeah.
So it's very like, instead of a big sprawling city, it's like a local city government. Like Parks and Rec, but if it was in Vampire the Masquerade. I think it's a really fun concept. And then I also know that I say that self-servingly because if I make content related to that, I'm going to get more subs because of the Dimension 20 fan base. But like, the product you make I think is important. There's one live play out there that I haven't watched yet. I don't know if I will because I just don't seek it. The podcast I really like, the Yard podcast, which is with Ludwig and like all of his buddies. I don't watch his actual content anymore. I feel like I'm too old for it. But I like the podcast a lot. They have a D&D podcast, and the express point of their D&D podcast is like the thing that they're really selling is let's take a bunch of gamers, largely who play like all they do is play League, CS, like Smash Bros. Like they play expressly competitive games. They're learning D&D. And there's parts where you see it clicking for them. And like one bit that's really fun is as they started playing D&D, they got like more role-play creative on their podcast. Like they're flexing that muscle just on the normal show because now they're like, this is a thing we can do and we all have fun doing this. And like you're watching them gain a love of roleplay, which is largely like improv comedy in the moment.
Yeah.
But like they're really happy about it, and so the fun you get from that is watching people gain a love for like a new medium. Because all of them walked away from it saying like they have a lot of fun with the show, and they really like D&D now. But like that's what you're getting out of that. It's just that's not a product I really care about.
Yeah, and that's saying like I do not view the streams we do when we're running our games as like important to the channel for anything other than I just want to create something that people who are interested in how we play or the games we play or whatever can see and watch the games. And some people do, it's not a lot of people, but some people do. And That's good, because I sometimes go online and try to find live plays of games I'm interested in to see, like, how do they play the game? Am I doing things wrong? How does this game even play that I haven't actually, like, played, you know? I desperately want a Legend in the Mist, like, official live play run by, like, the developer or something, so I can just, like, see how some things are supposed to work or not, or how things are supposed to be designed or not. And it drives me endlessly crazy that they don't.
They really should.
They officiate. I just got an email actually just now. It was about, like, another channel, and they're doing the Hearts of Ravendale campaign. But, like,
That's cool.
I'm more academically interested than I am anything else. Yeah. So, you know, it's something where, like, and that's the point, right? We play a lot of different games, and I think there's a lot of value in showing those games off, because, like, when are you going to see an anima game being run in this current day and age, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, for people who are interested in how the game plays or what it looks like, there's that. So, yeah, I mean, TTRPGs, at the end of the day, are games. They're meant to be fun. They're not meant to be played in any specific ways, and when you're opting into a particular system, then you have to be honestly asked, like, why am I playing this today? And it's best for the hobby when you play the games that make you happiest and make you enjoy the hobby more, you know? There's a lot of people I see who have played D&D to death, and they're like, I love tabletop, but I don't know what to do. Like, I just can't make D&D funner than I have been, you know? But I don't want to try another TTRPG because I feel like I've put too much investment into D&D, and none of my friends want to play any other game. They just want to play D&D, and, like, I feel for you. I really do.
Yeah. That's a rough one.
It's something that you just gotta find a way, gotta trek through. Like I said, I have forever wanted to play a game that was more ideal for me. Legend in the Mist has been that for me, and it's made me just completely change my opinion on a lot of TTRPG stuff in general. Like, I now no longer wish to get more out of a game than what it's offering, because at the end of the day, why am I playing that game in the first place, right? Like, why did I engage in this? Like, I love Pathfinder. There's parts of Pathfinder I like, but there are parts I don't like. But that's not Pathfinder's fault. That's my fault. You know, that's my preference coming in. So what game, you know, can I play that can fill those gaps? And, you know, there are going to be times I'm going to want to play Pathfinder, because Pathfinder, genuinely, honestly, I think is the best TTRPG for that classic dungeon crawling kind of experience that's not like OSR, right? Like the D&D campaign style game. I think it's the best for it.
I think so too. Like, it is, there's a lot of big benefits like that, and like, Pathfinder is a game that we can walk away from having a lot of issues with, which largely is, please, can we actually get outside of combat stuff?
Yeah.
But, like, it's why, like, I've always had a thing for, because I see it with movies all the time, which is why I've always had the value and have stated on here that I think it's really important to judge a product on the product, not through comparison of other things.
Yeah.
Because, like, so many times I've seen someone, like, review or talk about their opinion of a movie, and their big takeaway is, yeah, I just wish it was a different movie. It's like, yeah, okay, you can want that, but, like, that's not the fault of the movie. That's sorry, that's kind of on you.
Yeah,
but
Mr. Rex, man, I would like Pathfinder more if it was more D&D.
Yeah, I think that is a bad opinion. Like,
it is.
Like, you can have whatever opinions you want, sure, but, like, that is just not a good take, because, like, what's the point of that? Like, your takeaway of something can be, I didn't feel like I got the time. I invested a lot of time in this and I didn't feel a return. That's a better point. That probably is what they're saying when they say, I wish it was more like the thing I liked. But it's communicated in a bad way. But, like, it's important to take something and, like, recognize, like, what is this trying to do? What is the experience I'm getting? Why am I opting into this compared to something different? And sometimes it's a very simple answer, sometimes it's a very personal answer. Like, why am I investing time in, I don't know, Mugenics instead of Path Exile 2? Well, it's because Path Exile 2 updates tomorrow, and I don't want to start a character and then drop them for, like, play it for a day and then drop the character and never touch them again. That feels like a waste of time.
Pathfinder 2, that is more D&D is... Pathfinder 2 is more D&D is 4E. Oh, Pathfinder 2 is more D&D. No, I don't know what you're saying there.
It's saying that if you're trying to have, like, the crossover experience of what D&D is going to play like Pathfinder 2 is going to be 4th edition.
Sure.
But granted, I see that a lot. It's the kind of thing that makes me consider trying out 4E, because every time I walk away from a game, I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. Then someone's like, did you know it's inspired by 4th edition D&D? Like, fuck, man. I guess every good game is iterating on this one thing. It's probably flawed still, obviously. But, like, now I want to try it because, like, everything I like is inspired by it.
Yeah, I mean, I played some 4E. It was okay. It just runs into the problem of you play an archetype rather than a class. Because there's certain classes that fit certain archetypes, but most of their abilities and stuff work more or less the same. So.
I see a lot of people describe it as very MMO.
Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, you know. But yeah, Pathfinder 2E, I think, is literally just the best classic dungeon crawl that's not, like, OSR level. That short time I played 4E, I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. But, you know, like, we've already determined that, for me, my ideal experience is obviously not the D20 combat simulator types. Like,
no, like, man, the D20 system is just... I want to think it's better than it is. But it's just, it's not that good. If we're going to be very honest, I think it's if we got to take the totality of dice systems, there is objectively better. Cough, dice pools. That is the best one. Don't at me. With a kudos to your dice size is your attribute number.
Yeah.
Kudos to that one, because I also think it's kind of money.
I like that one as well. To be fair, I do love games that have more fun dice stuff.
It's like the one part, it's like the gameplay of your tabletop game, like, that is not in your imagination, like, engaging. It is the part you are physically interfacing with as a human being playing the game. So, like, dice systems should be treated like gameplay. And so dice can't just be, I think, a vector to, I need to find a way to make a random number generator, because otherwise you could pull up a random number generator and, like, do that.
I disagree. I don't think every game needs interesting dice mechanics.
I don't think every game needs it. I'm just saying it should be a thing you think about, because you can have, like, what is the best dice system? I think mathematically 2d6 is just a very good dice system. It's very, like, straightforward. I think the numbers are very good. I think it feels fair. Like, 2d6 is a good system, but I think a thought you should have is whether or not you want to do anything different with your dice, because that is gameplay. It shouldn't just be viewed as this is a random number generator. It should be also viewed as this is the game people are playing.
I don't know. I would say it is a vector to consider when it comes to designing a game.
Yeah, I don't think every game needs to do everything like that. It's just, I think you should have if you're, say, people out there designing a tabletop game, I think there should be thought on, like, why you're doing the dice system and if you can do anything else with it. Yeah, I think that is a thing you should think about and consider.
Yeah. And yeah, so, you know, I mean, like, I'm sure today's conversation has been fun, but it's a lot of, like, philosophy, right? Because at the end of the day, people are already playing the games that they kind of want to play. And knowing that games serve a purpose, you know, what game you're playing serves a purpose, is kind of just like one of those things that, like, you don't really need to expressly state to people. Like, people know, yeah, I play games that I like, and I try to look for games that I like. But I think it's very interesting to talk about, like, TTRPGs in this way, because not only is it different systems, right? It's not just like, oh, it's a different system, it plays differently. Like, no, what game you're playing can provide different experiences altogether. It's not like purely mechanical. Like, what kind of TTRPG session you're going to have is very dependent on how you're approaching it, what games you're playing it. Like I said, D&D is a sandbox game. Its nature isn't sandbox, but its systems allow it to be sandbox. You can play D&D seriously or goofy or slap things on or whatever, and people are generally okay with it. But like, if you're going to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you should be signing up for a tactical art combat simulator game, because while you can definitely tell story around that, that's the reason why it was designed that way. And if you are a lot more narratively focused, then I think there are other TTRPGs out there that do it better than Pathfinder does. But if you're like Brendan Lee Mulligan, for instance, who plays D&D because the combat's very like done for him, so he can just focus on the parts that he likes, then Pathfinder can be that too, right? Like, Pathfinder's like, the combat is so good and designed and everything like that, he doesn't have to worry about designing it to make it better or more fun, so you could just tell a story, you know, around that, and that's fine too.
I know for a fact that man plays Pathfinder with his buddies, because God, I still remember the whiplash of hearing in the first bit Fantasy High him calling it a reflex save.
Yeah,
I know who you are.
I know. And the thing is, right, I'm sure he expressed it in that way to give some more legitimacy to playing D&D, because I don't think he genuinely wants to answer why he uses D&D for Dimension 20, right? Which is, I think it's what people know.
It's a business thing, and like, I think he's talked about it roughly, is there is an importance to when you're doing a show like that, where you want the audience wants to feel like they can follow along. And so like, which is why I think it's a good move. When they did Vampire the Masquerade, they make a video that is like, hey, here's how you play the game, so you can understand what's going on. D&D is just really easy. It's pretty to the point, and he seems like a guy that's way more into different games. He loves the medium. He's definitely played like a bunch of this stuff before. I know he's a vampire fan. He's been involved in other vampire shows. He honestly played one of the most compelling villains I've seen in an actual play for the official VTM game. But like, so he's been a fan of it for a while, and he has his own things with D&D and what he doesn't like about how it sets up. But yeah, and also shouts out to a GM like him talking very openly about high level D&D combat sucking.
Yeah.
Like, he's talked about how it's like, it's not fun because all the tools you have to maintain balance are just really annoying, like, to do to the players.
Yeah.
And it's also like way too much to manage, and it just gets like an aggravating combat encounter. So like, I don't know if they're gonna do Fantasy High 4, because like 3, they're already high level, and like the combats just are really boring because of it.
Yeah. But all right, that's gonna be it for us today. Hope y'all enjoyed the conversation. You know, it was a good time. I always love talking about the philosophy of the TTRPGs, and I genuinely think that, you know, we really need to start asking ourselves, why are we coming to the table this day? Why are we choosing to play this game today? It's not to insinuate that playing the game that day is a mistake or anything like that, but it's more of, if you're open to the idea, right? Like, if you're open to the idea of trying new games, trying to find experiences that are more valuable to you, or just taking a break from your weekly session to just play some video games and just have some more fun, I feel like you will enjoy your next tabletop session more if you do stuff like that. Like, I'm sure you'll enjoy the hobby more if you just start genuinely like approaching it, like valuing your time and not just playing it because it's what you've always done. And like, don't get me wrong, I plan to play tabletop as much in my life as I possibly can, you know, as much as I think is fun and as much as it's interesting. I am always thinking about tabletop all the time. Today's conversation is not me trying to convince people not to play tabletop games, or not even to play their favorite tabletop games, just to put more thought into it. You know, if you really need a game day to play video games, do it. Do it. Bring a board game over. Have everyone play a board game or something like that. Because at the end of the day, a healthy association with tabletop will just make tabletop better for you in your life. And that is something I want. But before we head out today, Alex, anything you want to leave us off with?
Yeah, if you're a big fan of lore content, that's what I do on my channel, Blue Boy. I put out a video today on the Kavandi, or they used to be called the Dream Speakers, in any edition that's not Mage 20th. But I have a video on them. Go check that out. Soon-ish, I will be putting out a big compilation on Mage. At some point, I just have one more tradition to cover until I can make a big compilation. So there's lots of reason to go sub to my channel and start viewing all of them. So go have fun.
Yep. As for me, soon I'll be making videos again. I'm very looking forward to like re-engaging with YouTube. It's not going to be at the same rate that I was doing before my baby, but you know, it's going to be more than it has been for the last 6 months. It's wild to me. Yeah. Every time I look at my channel, my last video I produced was 6 months ago or something like that. 4 months ago, but there was a 2-month gap between that video and the video before it. So
I think that was like partway through when you had like a chance to do something.
Yeah, so you know, there's a point in my daughter's life where it was a lot easier for me to do stuff because she just slept all the day. But yeah, so I'm planning on making Legend Mist content because that's obviously my current obsession, and you know, I'll make content on things I like. But I do want to cover some more Lancer stuff. I need to redo one of my Lancer videos because everyone's upset at me because I did something real wrong when talking about the Traxicum. Yeah, the Taraxacum. Because hover in Lancer apparently means flight. It's a more advanced flight than normal flight. And in the video, I'm like, okay, this has hover, but why does it not offer flight? That seems very weird. And like I looked in the book to verify, and it didn't like clarify. It's just bad language. Hover should not be like seen as a superior form of flight. If it had been called superior flight, I would have understood more, you know?
Yeah.
So I got to redo the Taraxacum video. And also because I've been watching my tier list video recently, I really need to like get back into Pathfinder because I really do want to cover the Necromancer and the Runesmith when they come out. And I think I want to do another Pathfinder tier list. I think those videos are just fun to do. And I might do some other tier lists in some other games as well. Like, we'll see. I don't feel comfortable enough with Lancer to do a tier list for Lancer, even though I covered like every mech. I just don't play enough to like have enough of an opinion on it, unfortunately. But maybe like an anima tier list, like which classes I think are good or not good. And I don't know, like maybe I'll break up Pathfinder and I'll do 3 Pathfinder tier lists. One's for roleplay, one for combat, and one for social.
I wouldn't even say that. I would argue you could have one that's like that where it's very objective and very like these are the, again, flagging that like these are the metrics, but then having a pure vibes based. Like,
well, that's what I did in my last tier list video, yeah. Right? Like I had the objective, here's everything, and then I was like, okay, so here's my objective tier list. Now here's my vibe tier list, and then I put fighter even lower.
Damn, it's fucked up, man. It's fucked up.
Mostly it was objective based on, or it was subjective based on what classes I think like offer good stuff for players versus not good stuff for players. Because
like if you make your tier list and it's like here's what I like playing or here's what I want to play, that's fighter for that one you should put high.
Just because, I put it low for that reason actually.
Fucked up. You know what I understand to be a good class is what I think is cool. So Druid is dog shit tier. It gets its own tier. It's nature magic, more like cringe magic. Get out of here. Oh, I can talk to plants. Like it doesn't talk. There's nothing interesting you can talk to a plant about. It's gonna tell you how good the dirt tastes or something.
But all right, that's gonna be it for us. Thank you all so much for watching. I guess we'll go ahead and say goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.